Hello, hello. Here we are again coming to you from Broadcast Team Alpha with the Paranormal World Show. And we are coming to you on 44 different platforms around the world. And we're going to have some fun tonight. My name is Aage and I'm the host. And yes, this is going to be good because we are going to probably go off the planet with some of the information that we have for you.
Mm,
And
mm.
that's a good place unless you're afraid of heights. So we're going to be good. And
Right.
I want to also tell you how you can connect with me. You can go to broadcastteamalpha.com and there's a contact feature there. Just send your message. I'll get the email and I'll get back to you and we'll see what we can do. And also, I want to I want to let you know that we are transmitting also on Conscious Awakening Network. There's a good people over there. You got to go visit that place. And because they have close to 50 different shows and they're transmitting on, I don't know, probably 20, 30 different platforms also. So go to consciousawakeningnetwork.org and poke around over there because you're going to enjoy yourself. I have, and I did enjoy it. So now, also, I want to say that Nori and I, my co-host on the Broadcast Team Alpha Show, we created a spiritual think tank
Mm,
where we do incredible things. There are times when it seems like we are creating out of seemingly nothing.
mm,
Tremendous healings. We have been involved in creating rain out of seeming almost clear skies in a matter of an hour and a half, as well as
Wow.
helping people being on their deathbed, walking out of the hospital about 12 hours later, perfectly healthy. So there are
That's
really
amazing.
goofy things happening, and we're making it happen. If you want to come and join us and have check this out, maybe you have something that you want to create in your life. We can probably help you create something like that. So call us or no, just send us an email to the mastermind connection at gmail.com and I'll send you some information so you can come and check it out. And that's on Sundays and it's at a start at 11 o'clock Pacific time. So Sundays are good for absolutely a little bit of mind expansion and spiritual investigation. So there you go. I want to tell you a little bit about our guest because this has been a long coming. We become good friends over the years because he is
Hmm.
kind of a colleague of us, actually, because he's got a radio show on Saturdays at 10 a.m. Pacific time. And also, he is on BBS Radio out of Houston, Texas,
Oh,
in
not
England.
not part of the time I am, but go ahead. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, yeah, and then that is in English. And also, he is in transmitting on German at noon to 2 o'clock Pacific, I think it is.
Yes, that's right.
On that's on Radio Soul International in Vienna, Austria, and that is syndicated and is heard in over 100 countries to over 1 billion people. Now, you couldn't get any bigger than that. So,
Mm-hmm.
anyway, he's a gifted psychic, and he's been that for since he was a young man. And he also an author of one of his books is Messages from the Masters, and now he's coming out with another one that is called Creating a Beautiful New Earth. And I think that one is going to be available on Amazon on May 1st.
That's
I
right.
think, yeah. And he's also syndicated on many different radio stations directly. Now, in Europe, syndication is a little different than here. because first of all, they're small countries. So if you're syndicated in one country and they transmit, that could probably be heard in another 5 or 6 countries.
That's
So
right.
that's why he is heard in over of 1 billion or more people. So now his radio show is called Out of This World Radio, and you will find it also on bbsradio.com. And gosh, I've been talking way too much. I want to hear from Ted Mahr is with us. Hey, welcome
Hi,
to the
Aage.
show.
Thank you so much for inviting me today. We're going to have a lot of fun,
Yeah,
and you know, when you're having a good time, time goes by fast. So, um,
yeah,
so
this is going to be fun. And the thing about things right now, there's a lot of strange things, there's a lot of scary things. If you are one of those that easily get scared, and you probably are if you are watching TV, because that's their business. Fear. That's their big business,
that's
and it
right. That's right.
pays
That's
off
right.
enormously. But there is what is happening right now is absolutely necessary. If we
Hmm.
need to clean up the world a little bit so we can have a better one. And
Right.
that's why one of the reasons that on May 1st you should go to Amazon and get his book, because that talks about how this can happen.
Right. Right.
Creating a beautiful new earth. That book is going to be something really different. I had a little bit of insight on it. Now, if we are looking around us, it looks scary, but it isn't,
Yeah.
because we have some extraterrestrial help behind the scene that nobody seems to be aware of if you're watching TV. So I want Ted to talk a little bit about that because he have some off-world contacts. So Ted, we are lending you our ear. So just tell us about that a little bit.
Well, first off, to kind of set the background, I'm not from this planet. I came from the Pleiades 52,000 years ago, or two Mayan Katun cycles. And what's a Mayan Katun cycle? It's the time it takes for this planet in this solar system to go around the central sun of this Milky Way galaxy. Every time it does, there's an ascension cycle where humanity and the planet has a chance to go in the next dimension. This is the seventh time we have attempted to go into the higher dimensions. So there's been six other times when humanity's tried Augie and failed because of negative influence.
Yeah.
Typically, what they do is that they'll have a bunch of wars, make people fight each other in conflict, and unfortunately, they won't ascend. But this time, we're going to do it, irregardless of
Yeah.
what the negatives do and try to create another war. They try to create a war in the Middle East, in the Ukraine, um, but it's not going to work this time because most people want to live in peace. Most people don't hate each other, Augie.
No, that's
Most
right.
people, most people want to get along, and like they said in the '60s, make love, not war.
Hmm.
They're more interested in getting along with each other, and I think that's where we're going. And the purpose of my show and your show too, I think, if I may say this, is to give people hope in a world where there's no hope. And you know, I guarantee you, if you watch the main media in the United States 24/7, after a couple of weeks, you're ready to commit suicide because there's just nothing good, nothing good out
Yeah,
there.
God.
But the the universe is teeming with life, and in this universe, the human species is very common. Back in when I was a student at the University of California, Berkeley, back in 1976, I first saw a picture of what the Pleiadians look like. Here's my business card here, and if you look at the background of this, that's that's the that's what the Pleiadian constellation looks like.
Yeah, it's the Seven Sisters.
Seven sisters, that's right. And I knew I was from there, and I have been directly and indirectly in contact with them since that time. That was about 50 years ago.
Mhm.
and close to 50, 45, 50. And nowadays, I am in probably daily contact with them. I've been up on their mothership above Mount Shasta many, many times.
Mhm.
Um, and I do work with them, and I also work with what's called the Galactic Alliance of Interdimensional Free Worlds, which is an alliance of 450 million planets, 7 trillion entities, mostly human. They all care about us. And they want us to make the right choices for ourselves and our children and children's children so we can create a beautiful new earth and a beautiful future for all of us. And we're going to do it this time. I know we are.
Yep.
Now, one thing very important that happened a couple of months ago is that a group of angels under God's orders eliminated 100% of the reptilians and greys on this planet in this universe. So they now are essentially extinct.
Hmm.
There are cleanup operations which are continuing now, but they are pretty much extinct. And that means that we will not have any more negative extraterrestrial influences in trying to stop our ascension.
Yeah.
And the atmosphere, according to my Pleiadian friends now, Augie, is far better than it was even 6 or 8 months ago because of
Hmm.
that negative influence is gone. I have Pleiadian friends who who come down to this planet to visit us to see how we're doing. And last year they would get physically ill if they stayed longer than a couple of weeks on the surface because there was so much negativity.
Mhm.
But now they can come down and they can stay a lot longer, and they can stay probably as long as they want because there is so much positivity right now. Even though you may not realize it, you can turn on the media, mass media in the United States, other countries, and listen to nothing but bad news. But good things are happening, and I know we're going to ascend this time. Um,
Yes.
it's now I want to tell you that the Pleiadians look just like us because they're human. They're just in the fifth higher dimensions. And at myself, I have traveled all the way to the 10th dimension. I traveled there last year when I went to Mount Shasta.
Mhm.
And in the 10th dimension, you start getting into the angelic realm. And what happened is that I was at a waterfall in Mount Shasta. Have you been to Mount Shasta, Augie?
No, I never have. I really want to go, but I haven't.
Well, sometime you should come with me. I usually go there twice a year.
Yep.
And I went underneath this waterfall that contained a rainbow vortex, and my whole body turned bright white light. And somewhere I have a picture of it. But anyway, it was pretty amazing. And that's where we're headed. We're headed to the higher dimensions. And I want to tell you that the fifth dimension, we're in the third now, but we're shifting into the fourth and into the fifth. There are 12 different dimensions in which the 12th dimension is where God or the Supreme Being is located. And believe me, for those wondering, there is a God, and I have met God actually, and I speak to him frequently as well. But I've also met Jesus, Mother Mary, Joseph. All the angels are here. We all have the spark of God within us, and if we follow that intuition, we'll never make we'll make the right decisions for ourselves and our families.
Yep.
And so people have to realize that we actually have two brains, Augie. We have one logical mind through in our head here, and then we've got a heart mind through our heart. If you follow the heart mind, you'll never make a mistake. And this is a big learning experience here on Earth, but we are getting a lot of help from off planet, and I just want to tell people that. And it's more vast than you would ever dream of.
Yeah. Yeah, we are not alone. And
No.
it amazes me that people keep asking that question. That is just so ridiculous. Obviously, they're watching TV, so that's probably why. But on
Yeah.
the other hand, you mentioned the heart mind.
Right.
A lot of people will want, hey, heart, that's just a blood pump. No, it isn't. In fact, about 10 years ago or so, they found that there is actually a brain in the heart with approximately anything from about 45 to 55,000 neurons. And
Wow.
this heart, the brain in the heart, is responsible for most of the emotion and
Uh-huh.
is hardwired directly to the brain,
Hmm.
which is a receiving and a transmitting interdimensional interface device. So we have communication from the emotional part and the higher self to the universal mind. So you're right on. You're just using different words to explain it.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. That's right. President Kennedy is here. I grew up in a psychic family, and it's normal. It was normal when I was growing up to talk to spirits on the other side and angels.
Mhm,
And I've been doing that now for well over 30 years.
mhm.
And I've been talking to the Pleiadians since 1975, 76. And so President Kennedy's here. He just popped in, and he wants to uh, thank you so much for your wonderful work, Augie, and for me too, and all the light workers on this planet who are truly making a difference because there's a beautiful new earth all waiting for us. We just have to kind of step into it.
Yep.
And one of the things he says now, we all have to take our power back. We don't need to give it away to a corporation or to a tyrannical government. That we all have that spark of God within us, and we can make the world a far better and happier place. I've had people come up to me on the street sometimes, Augie, and said, "I'm just one person. What can I do to make a difference?" And I said, "Oh, plenty."
You'd be
Mahatma
surprised.
Gandhi was only one person. Look what he did. He kicked the British out in 1947
Yeah.
against the greatest military power on the earth at that time, one of the greatest.
Yeah,
And
there is 8 billion one persons on Earth. Think about if they all thought the same thing.
that's right.
Because of quantum entanglement, the whole thing would change immediately.
This is and this is what the negatives are afraid of, that we wake up.
Mhm.
And I have to tell you this. This is a little story of a background. This conflict between good and evil, between God and the devil or Lucifer, whatever you want to call them, different names for the same entities, between good and bad, light and dark. This has been going on for a long, long time. And in the most recent conflict was half a million years ago, when what's called the Galactic Alliance, of whom I work with, and the Pleiadians, were in an epic battle with the reptilians. Now, the reptilians are a negatively based society. They are now extinct, but for today's discussion, it's useful to know this information because it'll give you a historical perspective. 500,000 years ago, they blew up a planet called Marduk. Marduk
Mhm.
was just beyond Mars. It was Earth-like, huge Earth-like planet. It had a 25-hour day, not a 24-hour, but a 25-hour day. And they concluded a treaty after that conflict was over. But it was kind of like a Cold War that never ended, um, like between the U.S. and the USSR in the 50s. But anyway, there was this like Cold War going on, but there was an experiment done on Earth back then that it gave people two choices for evolution. You could either choose the path of God in a white light sense and do good things for yourself and humanity and your families, or you could go down a negative path. And God thought that um, people, when given a choice between good and bad, they would choose the good. Well, that's not been always the case, and the negative has have gotten they got so powerful that they were a threat to this entire universe. So that's why they have been eliminated now, and they are gone.
Yeah.
Cleanup operations are continuing, um, but this universe now is has gone from 80% positive to 20% negative, which was true up until last year, and is now almost 100% positive. There are negative people left, of course, on Earth.
Yeah,
Humans who left
I
the old.
I know a few of them.
Yeah, I do too, my friend. But they they um they are kind of stuck in their old. They want like the old ways of doing things. And you ask yourself, well, what's going to happen to them? And I can tell you, there's been another planet created on the other side of this solar system. It's in the same orbital path as this planet is here, Augie. It's 180 degrees right around the other side of the solar system. And it's an Earth-like planet where negative entities like like Adolf Hitler, for example, he's gone there. Other politicians have gone there, where they will be given another chance to ascend. In the ascension cycle, that's the exact date is 25,520 years,
Yeah,
and then they'll
that
be given a chance to ascend if they so choose or make the right choices.
yeah, that's a
So
long enough time. That's good.
it's a long time. So that's where they've gone, and to work out their karma. We could discuss individuals like George Bush Sr. Was present during Atlantis when Atlantis blew themselves up 12,500 years ago. He reincarnated as a U.S. president here. He had a chance to make things better, but he didn't. All he could do was talk about the New World Order when he was president back in the 90s in the United States.
Mhm.
So he's not going to ascend, but he's gone to this other planet on the other side of the solar system. And I hope for his sake, um, I wouldn't say that he's evil, but he just made wrong choices.
Yeah.
And so God's given him another chance and everyone else to go ahead and make better choices. So, as my friend Albert Einstein has said many times, um, energy, matter once created is never destroyed, it just transforms itself.
You know, you mentioned that there's another planet 180 degrees around the sun from us.
Right.
Did you know there was a Star Trek episode that had that concept in it?
You're kidding.
And
That's
I
amazing.
wonder where they got the idea from.
I can tell you.
Yeah,
Uh,
because this has been something that there are writings that date back long time talking about the other Earth on the other side of the sun.
right, right. Well, Gene Roddenberry, the fellow who produced and wrote up the Star Trek scripts,
Hmm.
was in direct contact with benevolent ETs. I think he was in contact with, I can tell you who, our Pleiadian brothers and sisters, and
Yeah.
they fed this information to him. You know the replicators they have on board the Star Trek
Hmm.
Enterprise,
Yeah.
they look just like that, and I've used them myself. And up on board our mothership, we usually like to have. They don't drink alcohol, but we do like to fix up cups of organic Mexican hot chocolate, which we do enjoy. So, but they can make anything you want in the replicator. They simply rearrange the molecules and and it's great. But at any rate, as you go higher in the dimensional scale, the need to eat is less and less. My friends in the fifth dimension, they will eat socially, but they don't need to eat. They live off the prana of the universe, which is always really interesting. And I have to tell you something interesting. Dr. Masaru Emoto, um, who passed away a number of years ago, was a great man. You're probably familiar with his work, but he always used to say everything is hado or vibration. And in the higher dimensions, everything is hado or vibration.
Yeah.
And if you can correct your vibration, you can do miracles, all kinds of different things. And anyway, but
Now, excuse me. You mentioned that we have less and less need for food.
as we go higher in the vibrational
Yeah,
scale,
but that is even possible here. I know a lady in Australia. She
uh-huh.
has not eaten solid food for 25 years.
Really,
You can Google it. Her name, she's known as Jasmuheen. Jasmuheen.
J.
Jasmuheen. She has not eaten food for 25 years. She's traveling the world teaching other people how to do it. And she has several thousand followers on her teachings that is actually doing this. They just don't talk much about it because it sounds ridiculous and they don't want to look funny, but there's a lot of
That's okay.
people doing this.
Jasmuheen.
Yeah, Jasmuheen.
Okay.
And that
Okay.
is, yeah, it is, but there's a spiritual process. You got to raise your vibration, so you probably are operating out of the fourth, and the fifth dimensional
That's right.
existence.
Hmm. That's true. That's true. Interesting. That's very interesting. There's another
Yeah.
guy. Have you heard of a guy named Bratzo?
No.
Okay, he's in Croatia, I think, in the
Uh-huh.
former Yugoslavia. And I went to a conference years ago in the Dominican Republic,
Mhm.
and I went to his presentation, and I was sitting in the audience, and he was billed as a healer, right? So I'm sitting there, and he's not saying a word, and all he's doing is operating telepathically, looking at everyone in the crowd, and he can tell who needs a healing and who doesn't. And and these people were getting miracle healings. All he had to do was look at them, focus for a little while, and the person would experience a miracle healing. And I asked him if I could interview him for his radio show, for my radio show back then, and he looked at me and just didn't say a word. And then his wife or his girlfriend or wife, I think it was his wife, said, "Ted, he doesn't. He'll interview, but he'll just sit there and he'll be quiet for the whole time because that's the way he operates." And I said, "Huh, that's interesting. Well, how am I going to use this for an interview?" She just said, "Take a picture of him and just explain." And I did. That's what I did. But it was very interesting. It was the only one of a kind interview
Yeah.
where he just looked out. But what I'm getting at is that there's a whole unseen world, and he operates in the fifth dimension as
Yeah.
far as his healing goes. And when you go into the fifth dimension, people become telepathic. They can tell whether someone's lying or not telling the truth,
Yeah.
and it usually happens instantaneously. So when we shift into the fifth dimension, which will be by this summer, people will be able to look at a local politician or people they know and tell instantaneously whether they're telling the truth or not.
Yeah,
And
that goes right along with what I've been saying for quite some time, that when
right,
the telepathic abilities will come to the surface, half
right,
of Congress will be in jail.
all of the 98%. That's right. That's right. That's right. Absolutely. It's sad to think that'll happen. That will happen.
Yeah.
I notice I'm not saying may happen. It will happen.
Yeah.
And do you know the whole thing with the Ukraine conflict and all the money that the Congress was sending to Ukraine?
Yeah.
What about 95% of that money came back into the pockets of people in Congress?
Yeah. Yeah,
It was
that's
money
that's
laundering.
just such a debacle that I even
Yeah,
hate to even think about it because
yeah,
it's just so
right.
bad.
Especially when you see the homeless people out in the streets of different
Yeah.
cities. Military veterans not getting the help that they need. Why can't we use some of that money to help our own citizens rather than squander
Yeah,
it
throwing
uh,
it down the black hole. Yeah.
into the black hole? Yeah, but things are changing for the better. Um, the Yeah, things are changing for the better, and I know we just have to be strong and remember that we all have the spark of God within us.
Yeah.
And once we realize, according to John F. Kennedy, once we realize that everyone has the spark of God within them, Augie, they'll stop fighting and realize that we're all brothers and sisters.
Yeah, we can already see the movement towards that. And I see
Hmm.
now that we are down at the bottom of the hour. And for those of you that joined us late, we are talking with Ted Mahr. He is a globally syndicated radio host and
Mm.
has written several books. And I I tell you, where can they find your books? Amazon, is that about the only place? Or do you have it also on a website or?
Well, all of my books are available on the web through my own website and also Amazon. So you
Yeah.
can, I'll just give them to a couple of sites. My main website is www.outofthisworldreadings, that's plural, outofthisworldreadings.com.
Hmm.
And the first page is are appointments for I have a spiritual mentoring classes that I give. It's only $25 a week. I teach people everything I know about talking to the other side. And then it says at the top of the screen, it'll say books. You click on that, and you go to my books or spiritual trips. You can also go to Amazon, which is fine, um, and order it from there as well. The latest book, Creating a Beautiful New Earth, is not available yet. It's actually I'm setting the final changes on the final on the like the sixth or seventh final draft
Yeah.
to my publisher today, my editor. So, but it should be published again in a couple of weeks.
Okay.
Um, and one of the books is available in Europe. It's in German. It's actually this book here, which is Messages from the Masters, which I published back in 2017,
Hmm.
which is messages from Albert Einstein, Nostradamus, Leonardo da Vinci, Robert F. Kennedy, Jack Kennedy, Dr. Emoto, Mahatma Gandhi, Nikolai Tesla. So there's a whole bunch of messages about our beautiful, bright future in this book. And then also, this is a book I published, I think, year before last, called Journey to the Other Side, Talking with Angels, How to Talk to Angels and Benevolent Extraterrestrials. That's in both English as well as in Spanish as well. That's available on my website,
Hmm.
outofthisworldreadings.com. And then before I forget, this book here, Messages from the Masters, is available off Deutsch in German for those who speak German as their first
Hmm.
language. That's available on my website, but it's through a publisher in Germany out of Frankfurt.
Hmm.
Um, and then this newest book, Creating a Beautiful New Earth, will probably be translated into German and Spanish a little later. I'd like to also get it translated into Japanese, but Japanese is tough to translate.
Yeah.
And when you use one of the Google translators, it screws it all up. They still haven't been able to uh, perfect it. It's easy to do
Yeah.
Spanish, easy to do French in comparison, but
Yeah.
not Japanese or Chinese for that matter, because there's so many
Hmm.
variations. But with my books, if you order from my website, outofthisworldreadings.com, you get a free reading with it. You don't get that from Amazon, but Amazon's okay. I mean, you can order from Amazon too.
Oh, that's a
Um,
good point.
yeah, yeah. And I want to tell people I'm having my 10th annual Galactic Wisdom Conference. It'll be held on April 26th and 27th this month. And I'm going to have some world famous scientists there, psychics, healers. Usually we had the conference in person up until 2020, but after that, because of all the lockdowns and the restrictions, we've had it by Zoom. I hope next year we'll be able to do it in person again. To register or more information, go to www.galacticwisdomconference.com. And this year we're having Dr. Jerry Pollack. He's one of the world's most famous water scientists. He'll be talking about the force phases of water and all the fascinating things about that. He's a great guy, good friend of mine. He'll be followed by Michiko Hayashi, the director of the Emoto Peace Project in Tokyo, carrying on the work of wonderful Dr. Emoto. Dr. Ervin Laszlo, Nobel Peace Prize winner, a famous scientist out of Italy and philosopher out of Italy. A couple of people have passed away in the last 6 months. Good friends of mine, Tom Palladino, Scaly Energy, and Judy Callie, who I considered one of the America's best psychic, one of America's best psychics. The
Hmm.
memorials to both of them. Dr. Lee Merritt, famous doctor from here, will be giving a presentation. Dr. Angel Fernandez, he's the leader of the 1A1 Foundation in the Dominican Republic. Great guy, like a good friend of mine. Dr. Michelle Peel, a naturopathic doctor, famous, fantastic healer. Jesse Howell, the missing link from Calgary, Alberta, will be there. Carolyn White, Dr. White will be there. Fantastic aura reader and psychic, my, as well as Gerhard Pellegrino. He's with Radio Soul International in Vienna, Austria. We'll also have Gordana Bernat, famous positive thinker out of Sweden. I think she has well over 500,000 followers on Twitter. That's all
Mhm.
she does. It's like
The best.
positive, uplifting sayings that she does on Twitter, and she's
Yeah.
been doing this for years. She's a great lady.
Now,
She'll be there, and then we'll also have James Redfield, the author of the Celestine Prophecy from the '90s, who first introduced many people to the
mhm.
New Age thinking. Um, we've got Linda Jolo, a wonderful healer, Natasha Vetter, a wonderful psychic medium. She's well known in the Seattle area. Have a great musician named Charlie Cardinal. Leon McLaughlin for the Clean Water Foundation will be doing a fundraiser for the Hopi for clean water for the Hopi Indians in
Yeah.
Arizona.
Now, this is going to be in person. It's not on the internet, is it?
Oh, no, 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 no! It is on the internet. Um, it'll be by Zoom, so people
Oh,
can, yeah, register no matter where they are. Just go to www.galacticwisdomconference.com, and it's just $40 for the whole weekend for 20 hours worth
oh,
of.
okay.
So it comes out to $2 per presentation. If you
All
can afford
right.
$2 per presentation, that's
No,
it.
that's phenomenal. Yeah, gosh, I thought it was in person, and if it is on the internet, gosh, that would be fun to be part of that. That's all right.
Okay, that'd be great, Augie. I
Yeah.
can see if I can find a spot for you. We're pretty full, but a few people haven't got back to me, and if I got an opening, I'd love to have you on. I
Okay.
need. I'm going to spend this week tightening up the schedule. I've been busy,
Okay.
and I was working on my book, and that took a lot of time. And then we've been working on the
Yeah.
conference, and
All right.
then
Yeah.
you know, juggling a lot of balls in the air.
Yeah.
But the bottom line with my program is that we have a beautiful, bright future ahead of us. We just have to step into it. Did I ever tell you how I got started in my radio
Mm-hmm.
shows?
Okay.
Yeah, it was. I was between jobs. It was 2013, and I was in this library in Seattle when this homeless man came up to me, and he said, "Ted, you, um, I have a message for you." And I said, "Oh, really?" And he said, "Yes, the angels want you to start writing books and start your own radio show." And I looked around and he was disappeared. That was an angel himself. And then about the next month, I had the same thing happen with another fellow in another library in the Seattle area. And I said, coming from a psychic family, it's normal for me to get messages like that. And so then I said to myself, I said to God, I said, well, how am I going to do this? Because I didn't know the first thing about doing radio. And as luck would have it, within a week, I met this nice lady who had a friend who was the manager of a radio station in Seattle called KKNW on 1150 AM. And I met him one day. Within 45 minutes, I'd signed a contract for my own show.
Mhm.
And I didn't have any money at the time because I was between jobs. But I asked my guides, and they said, "Go ahead and sign the contract." So I did. It was like $700 or $800 a month. And I told my angels, I asked my angels, I said, how am I going to pay for this? They said, make it donation based, just nonprofit donation based, and it'll fund itself. And that's what's happened ever since. I haven't looked back since. So I was in Seattle for 7 years, from 2013 to 2020, when this whole thing about COVID hit, and I started questioning the narrative about the lockdowns and the masks and everything. And I had to leave the station because they didn't like what I was saying. So I left.
Yeah.
Then I went to BBS. I mean, there was a good experience, and I liked them. They really supported me, but things got kind of political. So I went to BBS, and now I'm on my own as far as my own.
Yeah. You
Uh,
outgrow things.
you outgrow things. That's right. That's right. But they treated me well on the station. I had a big audience in Seattle. There were over 2 dozen different alternative programs on KKNW in Seattle, and
Wow.
they did. I was the most popular one of all of them during the time I was there.
Yeah.
So anyway, I wish them well, and but you do outgrow things, you do outgrow things. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I, there is something that people are really worried about right now, and that is these tariffs that is supposed to be hitting the.
yeah,
I want to say just a little bit about those tariffs
yeah.
because
Go
a
ahead.
lot of people are concerned about it and they think, oh, this is going to destroy everything. The whole world is going down the toilet and it's not going to be anything. We're going into a global recession and all that good stuff that you hear on TV.
Right.
Uh, well, no, it is necessary what's happening. Look at it. The United States has about $37 trillion in debt that
That's
can
all.
never be paid back.
Wow.
And
Hmm.
the thing about that debt is that that is sold around the world in form of financial paper. Different countries are holding these securities.
Right. Right.
And
Right.
if this, what is going on right now, is not happening, the United States would go bankrupt. That
I see.
means that all that paper sitting in the different governments, Chinese are holding it, Norwegians are holding it, Germans are holding it, that paper will be worthless, which means those countries would go bankrupt.
Like the Weimar Republic in Germany in the 1920s.
Yep, there you go.
Right.
So it is necessary what is happening right now. It will come out on the other end, and things are going to be wonderful
Mm.
because all that debt will go away because we have found a way to pay off that debt.
Right.
Actually, eliminate it is more
Right.
accurate for the.
Right. Hmm.
So, yes. So just stay the course. Don't worry about a thing because we are not going bankrupt. Other countries are not going bankrupt, except maybe Germany. They are really, really on the edge right now
Mm.
because of the thing
Mm.
over in they're supposed to be fighting. But
Yeah.
don't worry about it because it is going to be okay. The plan behind the scenes is there's new assets that's going to be coming onto the scene here
Mm.
that will take care of the debt. So don't worry
It,
about it. It's going to be all right.
oh, that's good. Thank you for mentioning that. Actually, people don't realize this, but before 1913, the U.S. government wasn't funded entirely by tariffs. There wasn't an income
Hmm.
tax. There
Yeah.
wasn't. And the
They
whole
had,
government was funded, including the military, was funded by tariffs.
oh, yeah. And they
So
had,
that's
the
historical. That's true.
government has so much money, they didn't know what to do with it.
Yeah, they didn't. Right. Right.
And we
Right.
will
Exactly.
again.
Well, I've always thought that the mass media in the United States does not tell you the full truth about really anything,
Hmm.
and they never give you the full story. But you have to do a lot of digging. The truth is out there. You just have to look for it. And as Susan Miller, a wonderful astrologist, told me back in April of 2014 on my radio show, she said, we're entering into a time of truth. That things that are true will become evident as being true, and those that are false will be shown to be false, Augie, and fall by the wayside. And that's
Yeah.
what's happening. And that goes true for everything: relationships, government, institutions, corporations, the economy. That truth is going to come out. So
Yeah.
about
And,
everything,
and
basically.
there's another thing happening too, is that just like I think it was President Eisenhower that said this in an interview. It is that sooner or later, the people of the world are going to want peace so badly that the government have to get out of their way and give it to them.
Yeah,
You-
that reminds me of the early 90s and late 80s when we had mass demonstrations for a nuclear disarmament treaty with the Soviet Union back
yeah.
back then. And look, we got it. because under one timeline that Nostradamus told me about, there was a nuclear war that started, World War III started in 1993 in Bosnia-Herzegovina. Um, but it didn't happen because people chose peace.
Yeah.
And that's what we need to do today. We need to choose peace. Um, and I don't see nuclear war happening in the future. If we did have a nuclear war, by the way, and if an American general or a Chinese general or a Russian general fired a missile at either one of each other, the Galactics would step in and disable those weapons immediately. And they did that, by the way, during the 70s, 80s, and 90s and 60s.
Yeah.
They did that over a dozen times. They disabled a nuclear weapon being fired.
Yep, they have proven that they can do that. I've seen a video of one rocket going up, and there was this UFO came and flew around the tip of it, with a light beam going into the tip, and it killed the rocket, and it just fell out of the sky.
Right, exactly. The as far as the Galactic Alliance goes, they're an alliance of 450 million planets.
Hmm.
Their technology is up to 100,000 years, Earth years ahead of us.
Yeah.
And spiritually, they are up to 50,000 years ahead of us spiritually. Our
Hmm.
Pleiadian brothers and sisters, um, they are 70,000 roughly years ahead of us, 70, 80,000 years ahead of us technologically, and 30,000, give or take, years ahead of us spiritually. And they're beautiful people. They care about us deeply, and I can't say enough good things about them. I'd like everyone today, if you could, put your hand on your heart and send both our Pleiadian friends and the Galactic Alliance lots of love and thanks for all their hard work in protecting us and helping us behind the scenes. They don't do it for ego. They don't do it for any kind of recognition. They just do it
Hmm.
because they don't want us to see ourselves destroyed. So if we could do that now with thanks for their help in helping us out so we don't destroy ourselves, that would be really appreciated.
Yes.
Good. Just for a moment, send them lots of love and light. And also, while you're doing that, send lots of love and light, golden yellow light, which is a healing light, to the Middle East, where the conflict has been going on forever with Israel and Palestine, to the Ukraine and Russia, to China, wherever there's conflict. These places really need it, and meditation like this, sending love and light to these areas, really do make a difference. And I'll give you an example in a minute here.
Yep.
They heard us, and they're really appreciative. They said
Yeah.
thank you. They just said thank you.
Yeah.
In On July 24th or 25th, 2014, I had Dr. Masaru Emoto on my radio show in Seattle. The show started at 3 p.m., went from 3 p.m. to 4 p.m. Pacific time. And in the middle of the show, I asked Dr. Emoto if his techniques for creating these beautiful water crystals. I don't know. Have you seen his book?
Yep. I have seen it.
The Message from Water.
Hmm.
This is a crystal made by the words love and gratitude on a glass of water. And what happens is that within a very short time, these beautiful water crystals form, and they're very beautiful. And this, in his opinion, love and gratitude had the most beautiful one. If anybody wants one of these books, I can put them in touch with the Emoto Project in Tokyo. Just send me an email to outofthisworldradio@protonmail.com, and I'll be happy to link you up with people and get you these books. Anyway, I said, can we do a 5 minutes of prayer and sending love and light to the Palestinians and the Israelis for a
Yes.
12-hour ceasefire to exchange food and medical supplies for the wounded on both sides? This is all documented. I did that on the air, and I did that at 3:30 p.m. Seattle time. Well, the show ended at 4. I went to the place where I was staying, and I got to the place where I was staying at about 8:30 at night. About 5 hours later, I turned on the television, and it's CNN. Um, at the bottom of the screen, there was a red banner saying the BBC just announced that the Israelis and the Palestinians just agreed to a 12-hour ceasefire to exchange food and medical supplies for the wounded. And I said, "Oh my God, it worked!
Yes.
It worked!" And that does work. So if you want to create peace in the world, um, do that little prayer for peace in the Middle East, in the Ukraine, in China, anywhere where there's conflict. You could even pray for peace along the U.S.-Mexican border, which has been horrible
Yep.
the last couple of years, or even in Congress. Maybe they'll do something. Maybe they'll stop eating those donuts and drinking coffee and actually get off their chairs and do something for the people. I'm being a little facetious, but at any rate, but do send lots of love and light to those conflict areas, and it will help. I guarantee it. There's a university called Maharaja University in Fairfield, Iowa,
Mm-hmm.
and they teach what's called transcendental meditation. You can get a degree in it, college
Yep.
degree in it, and they've done mass meditations as well to lower crime, to improve all kinds of things on this planet, and it's worked.
Yeah.
During the Atlantean history, they used to have millions of people meditate also for world peace, and that also worked. So never underestimate that you're all powerful spiritual beings meant to create a better and happier planet. We're not we're not supposed to be here, Augie, to continually fight and kill each other. That's not the purpose of being here. And it's not the purpose of earning as much money as you can. Because when you pass over and you meet God on the other side, and you will, I guarantee it, they're going to say, well, what did you do to make this world a better place? How did you advance you and your family spiritually? Because that's the only thing that really counts is
Yeah. Yeah. That,
in final analysis.
yeah. There's that saying out there too that I think some people have heard, and that is that there's no drawers in the bottom of the coffin. You can't take anything with you.
Well, that's true. That's true. That's true. The other thing I want to share with you, my Pleiadian brothers and sisters tell me that as people spiritually advance, Augie, the aging clock will stop and it will start reversing. And then as you advance into the fifth dimension, you can choose what physical body you want. That aging process for me has stopped and it is now reversing. And eventually I will look like I'm 38, which will be my typical uh,
Yeah.
appearance. So that's what I'm looking forward to. I know people in the Seattle area who one lady in particular who must be in her 70s right now, but she looks about 38
Hmm.
because she's very spiritually advanced. And if you were to meet her on the street, you'd say, she's in her late 30s, but she's not. But we don't have to age. And people beyond this planet live an average of 1,000 years, and they can live a lot longer if they want. My good friend Adama, who's the spiritual head of Telos underneath Mount Shasta in the Hollow Earth, he is about 20. How old are you? 25, 26,000 years. But he looks like he's in his late 20s.
Yeah.
Very loving man. I talk to him frequently.
Yeah,
Sometimes.
it sounds ridiculous when you say something like that, but it's real because in 2009, three doctors got the Nobel Prize for discovering an enzyme that will reverse the aging process. And I'm
That,
doing it. In my mind, I'm 35 years old, but I am 79 right now. And
uh,
I would say go if you want to know how to do that. Go to broadcastteamalpha.com and scroll down in the shows. On YouTube is an easier place to do it.
uh-huh.
And you will find a show that talks about how to reverse the aging process. And
Wow.
it's 59 minutes long. Just look for it and run the show, and you will know how to do it because there's a lot of people doing it now.
Hmm. Well, it does work. Forget about skincare and eye makeup and all this other stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just become more, um, become more spiritual, and it will do it. And you can also tell the cells in your body too to stop aging and
Yeah.
rebirth.
I see now that we are within 5 minutes of the end of the show, but
Okay. Do you want me?
formulate something that'll give people some hope.
Well, if you look at history, history often repeats itself. And there was a lady named, what was her name back in the 30s, who told everybody that the middle of the Depression, that the world was ending, and for people to give her all of your wealth, and they did. And so everybody sat up on this mountain and nothing happened.
Yeah,
Um, the like Winston Churchill said during World War II, the only thing you have to fear is fear itself.
yeah,
Um, there's nothing that we can't solve. There's nothing we can't do to make this world a better place. And as Mahatma Gandhi has said to me repeatedly, if you want to change the world, start with yourself,
yeah,
because we're all microcosm of the larger macrocosm.
yeah.
We've gone through these trying times in humanity's history so many times before. There was a forecast of a nuclear war in the 90s by Nostradamus, but it never happened because people chose peace. There was a set of 3 volume set of books called Conversations with Nostradamus by Dolores Cannon, a famous American psychic back in the 80s. And in those books, Nostradamus forecast this horrible nuclear war happening in the Earth, but we changed that timeline. So I don't look at the end of the world at all. I think that's a throwback memory to Atlantis when the Atlanteans did destroy the Earth.
Yeah.
But we've gone through these trying periods before, and God is stronger than anything that the negatives can throw up against us. And the white light always wins against the dark.
Yeah,
You have to
absolutely.
remember that, and you have to be strong about it.
Yeah,
So,
this is not the end of the world. It's the beginning of a
yeah,
new
right,
earth.
right. It's the beginning of a beautiful new future and a new world for all of us on this planet. My website's Can I get my websites out? People can
Yes.
find out more information. www.tedmahr.com, TED, M as in Mary, AHR.com, or out of this www.outofthisworldreadings, that's plural, readings.com.
Mhm.
Um, I have a toll-free number. If you're in the United States, it's 1-888-879-8339. 888-879-8339, or my email is outofthisworldradio at protonmail, PROTON mail.com. And feel free to write me anytime, or you can write me at tedmahr@gmail.com.
Yeah.
The purpose of my life is to make this world a much better and happier place. This was this is why I came to this planet. I've been here 52,000 years. I came from the Pleiades to help with the Ascension, and this is my last lifetime before I return and rejoin my Pleiadian family.
Yeah, I think both of us are gonna graduate.
I think so. I think
Yeah.
so. Yeah, yeah, I
All
think
right.
so.
Well, we are down to the end here, and I sure thank you for being with me because this was wonderful.
Oh,
And I
thank
guess
you.
we're going to do another show on Monday for your European audience.
Right, right. It'll be on Radio Soul International out of Vienna, Austria. That gets wide coverage throughout the EU, north to Scandinavia, west to France, might be picked up in England, I'm not sure, then south to Italy, and then east to Poland, Hungary, Romania.
Yeah.
So the only thing is, you can't say more than 50 swear words per hour. I don't think they'll have a problem with that, but just saying.
I'll hold it down to 25 or less, so it will be good.
All right. And
All
my
right.
my conference is at www.galacticwisdomconference.com. That's on just $40 for the 20 hours worth of fabulous lectures. And that's on April 26, 27. If you miss the date, don't worry. You'll be able to listen to all the lectures for up to 6 months,
Yeah.
free of charge.
Okay. Sounds
Yeah,
great. Well,
yeah.
thank you very much. And for those of you out there watching and listening, if you are on YouTube, just please subscribe. That'll make it much easier for us with the algorithm. And if you have not become a member yet of Broadcast Team Alpha on YouTube, you need to, because we got special videos back there that is not available to anybody else. In fact, all the way from real secrets to how to reprogram your subconscious mind for success and all kinds of different things.
That's
So
right.
we will see you in the next show. And until then, be good to each other.
That's right.